Good.
Okay, we have a letter from Bob Cohn
Go ahead.
concerning the people who are suffering from COVID. And it involves the Shelter Island Reporter report regarding that the vote yes be advertised that appeared in the reporter. Okay. And it's quite long, and I believe you all have a copy of it.
Okay.
Yeah. The other one is from Jerry Stiller, if you know that man.
You wrote a letter?
No, from John Furman, it went to you.
Okay.
Yeah. About the changing of prices for moorings. That's a very long letter.
We all got that, right?
Another letter from John Needham of Couples Harbor Marina concerning the 2023 town budget, which is laying out the significant increases in mooring fees. And everybody got one of them.
Yeah, we got that.
Okay, that's
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, and then we also got some, I got some, maybe I didn't forward, from the Silver Beach residents about 9 Cozy Lane.
Yeah, I got some of those.
I have 3 letters on file for that. Okay, Meg, we'll start with some hearings.
Whereas Charles Dunn, 18 Tut Hill Drive, has petitioned the town for permission to transfer the ownership of mooring number D-3623 at a location designated as 41.0863 degrees north and 72.34458 degrees west, occupied by Robert Fairbairn. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 90-5 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 6:10 PM prevailing time on the 6th day of December, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Whereas Robert Fairbairn of 25 Winthrop Road has petitioned town for permission to transfer the ownership of mooring number.
I think Meg just read that one, so read the one above it.
No, there's a second.
No, it's a second, yeah, it's a second one. It's
Transfer.
it's a transfer. So this is the second half of the transfer. The ownership of mooring number C-3640 at a location designated as 41.07428 degrees north and 72.29142 degrees west, occupied by Charles Dunn. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 90-5, the code of the town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 6:12 PM prevailing time on the 6th day of December 2022 for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas Kristen Kerberg, on behalf of Deerwater LLC, 29 Nostrum Parkway, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to remove and replace in place approximately 49 linear feet of existing timber bulkhead and backfill with approximately 10 cubic yards of clean sandy fill to be trucked in from an approved upland source. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 52-9 of the code of the town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 6:14 PM prevailing time on the 6th of December, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas Andrew Frankel, 60 Gardeners Bay Drive, has petitioned the town board for a permission to repair a dock, replacing the deck boards on the surface of dock using 2x6 foot treated lumber for a price less than $10,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for said repairs. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Why don't I just read all of these appointments because they're quick, okay? Whereas Civil Service has changed the title of Bay Constable to Harbor Master, I now,
You have to do them separately.
I am going to do them separately,
Oh, okay.
but just,
Okay, got it.
I'll just keep going. But,
Barbara Master one.
oh, right.
What Roman, so.
That's hysterical. That is so funny. I'm like, I now. Okay, whereas civil service has changed the title of Bay Constable to Harbor Master 1, now therefore be resolved that Bo Payne is hereby appointed to Harbor Master 1 retroactive to September 5th, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas civil service has changed the title of Bay Constable to Harbor Master 1, now therefore be resolved that Peter Vielbig is hereby appointed to Harbor Master 1 retroactive to September 5th, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas civil services changed the title of Bay Constable to Harbor Master 1, now therefore be it resolved that Albert Labrosi is hereby appointed to Harbor Master 1 retroactive to September 5th, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas civil service has changed the title of Bay Constable to Harbor Master 1, now therefore be it resolved that John Mahoney is hereby appointed to Harbor Master 1 retroactive to September 5th, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Shelter Island hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on December 6, 2022 at 6:16 PM prevailing time on the proposed use of WQI funds toward the Cornell Cooperative Extension Agreement for a shellfish hatchery and nursery. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Whereas pursuant to New York State Town Law, Section 64-K, the town board created the Community Housing Fund, parentheses, Chapter 52 of the Town Code, close parentheses, serve as a respiratory for monies to be used exclusively for the community housing opportunities. And whereas the town law, Section 64-K, parentheses, 7, mandates that before any monies may be expended from said fund, a community housing plan be adopted to guide such monies are to be used. And whereas New York State Town Law, Section 64-K, parentheses 6, further required that the town create a Community Housing Board Advisory Board, CHFAB, to review and make recommendations regarding the community's community housing plan. And whereas on January 7th, 2022, via resolution number 80, the town board created said board. Whereas a community housing plan, based on the recommendations and review of the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board, has been submitted to the town board. Now therefore be it resolved that the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board has fulfilled its mandate and is hereby dissolved. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the superintendent of highways has requested permission to purchase a new Freightliner 108 SD with Stella hook lift, containers, plow, and sander. And whereas the superintendent wishes to expend funds from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund for said equipment as follows: $65,285.45 for each of 4 years, 2023 through 2026, to purchase a new Freightliner truck. And Section 1, that the town enters into a lease purchase agreement with Government Capital Corporation for the purchase of procuring a vehicle. Section 2, that the lease purchase agreement by and between the town and Government Capital Corporation is designated by the town as a qualified tax exempt obligation for the purposes of Section 268B3 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, as amended. Section 3, that the town of Shelter Island designates the town supervisor or the designee as an authorized signer of the lease purchase agreement by and between the town of Shelter Island and Government Capital Corporation. And whereas the equipment exceeds the period of probable usefulness as defined in the local finance law, Section 11, making the withdrawal of the Highway Capital Reserve Fund subject to permissive referendum pursuant to GML 6-C. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves the aforementioned withdrawals from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund for said purchase for a total not to exceed $261,141.80. Further resolved that within 10 days after the adoption of this resolution by the town board, the town clerk shall, as set forth in Town Law 90, post and publish a public notice which shall set forth for adoption of this resolution and contain an abstract of this resolution, concisely stating the purchase and effect thereof. Such notice shall specify that such resolution was adopted subject to permissive referendum upon such approval. And be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted subject to a permissive referendum pursuant to General Municipal Law 6-CC and shall not take effect until 30 days from the date of publication in the official town newspaper. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved by the town board of the town of Shelter Island, section 1, that the town, oh wait, that's part of this. I'm sorry.
It is.
Oh, no, it's
sorry.
not. Oh, lease purchase agreement.
For Nelson.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's a
yeah.
lease purchase agreement?
Just the first sentence is extra.
Say that again?
First sentence is extra, just.
Yeah.
Agreement.
It's a typo.
Okay, sorry, I'm like, okay. So be it resolved by the board of the town of Shelter Island, section 1, that the town enters into an agreement by, and be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign the contract between the town of Shelter Island and Nelson Pope Voorhees for the restoration work at the West Neck Preserve, retroactive to October 15, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that effective immediately, there shall be a 7.5% fuel surcharge on the following fees charged at the landfill. A 2130A, C and D in. A 2130J, brush in and wood chips in. A 2130K, concrete in. A 2130K1, clean concrete. A 2130K11, clean asphalt. A 2130M, stumps in. A 2655A, sales, sand and salt. A 2655D, crushed concrete. A 2665F, topsoil sales. A 2655H, cold patch sales. A 2665N, double ground chips mulch. A 2665Q, landfill delivery. A 2665L, commercial leaf debris. So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the supervisor and town engineer, in conjunction with the contracted town grants writer, were authorized and directed pursuant to the town board resolution adopted November 12th, 2021, to submit a grant application to the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services under the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program for project scoping advancement. Said project is anticipated to provide the data and analysis that are needed to investigate and design infrastructure at the North and South Ferry terminals to increase resiliency to storm damage and provide additional operational functionality to support the town's emergency management plans. And whereas the project was hereby submitted for consideration under FEMA DR 4615, DR 4567, and DR 4480, and whereas FEMA has since revised requirements regarding federal share and local match from 75% federal share to 90% federal share, now therefore be it resolved that if rewarded, the grant resulting from the funding approval from DR 4615, 4567, or DR 4480 will provide funding at 90% of the total project cost, with the remaining 10% burden to be covered by the town. So moved.
Second.
All
Second.
those in favor?
Aye. Whereas a public hearing was duly held on the 18th day of October 2022 on a proposed use of federal community development block grant funds the town of Shelter Island expects to receive during 2023. And whereas all interested town residents expressed citizen views and local needs to be met with these funds, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby determines that the use of said funds shall be designated as follows. $50,000 to the ADA design work for Justice Court and any other designated work determined by the town board. So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Just there's a note there, that's a major increase in what we're asking for. We were normally getting,
13,000.
$13,000 in that community block grant. This is, and we've found out a lot of the other East End towns were upping their game and asking for more money. And obviously, those two buildings to our north, both Justice Hall and the police department, both need ADA compliance. So that's a well worthwhile pursuit for that grant money. So hopefully we can get that.
Yep. Be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to reimburse the sum of $560 to 7B&B, 7 Stearns Point Road, for unused parking permits. Each parking permit. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to expend the sum of $456 from the account B 3620.491 and $456 from the account B8010.491 to Car Business Systems, PO Box 936715, Atlanta, Georgia, for copier maintenance. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved, supervisors hereby authorized to expend the sum of $750 from the A 1220.491 account to Record Consultants Incorporated, 288 Gather Oak, Suite 110, San Antonio, Texas, 78260, for inventory software assistance. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $1,300 from the A1355.49 to the Office of Real Property Tax Services, W.A. Harriman, State Campus, Albany, New York, 12227, for annual licensing fee for 2022-2023. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved, the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $380 from the A3212.0.484 account to Vigilant Solutions LLC, PO Box 841001, Dallas, Texas 75284, for the WatchGuard video for 12/2022 through 11/2023. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $46,000 from the DA 9950 account and $8,880 from the DA 5142.447 account to Buzz Chew, 656 County Road 39A, Southampton, New York, for the purchase of a 2022 Chevrolet Silverado 2500. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Be resolved that 2022 general claims numbered 1678 through 1777 in the amount of $89,406.59. 2022 highway claims 200 through 213 in the amount of $29,342.60. 2022 community preservation claim numbers 16 through 18 in the amount of $2,926.70. 2022 West Neck Water claim number 12 in the amount of $4,000 are hereby approved for payment as audited, and the supervisor and/or any town board member is hereby authorized and directed to sign the approval for payment of same. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna recess the meeting and open the public hearing, the proposed local law entitled Override of the Tax Levy Limit. Dot?
The town board of the town of Shelter Island hereby calls for a public hearing for a proposed local law entitled Override of the Tax Levy Limit. Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Shelter Island as follows. Section 1. Legislative intent is the intent of this local law to override the limit of the amount of real property taxes that may be levied by the town of Shelter Island, County of Suffolk, pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 3C, and to allow the town of Shelter Island, County of Suffolk, to adopt a town budget for A, town purposes, B, fire protection districts, and C, any other special improvement district governed by the town board for the fiscal year 2023 that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the tax levy limit as defined by General Municipal Law, Section 3C. Section 2, authority. Local law is adopted pursuant to subdivision 5 of General Municipal Law, Section 3C, which expressly authorizes the town board to override the tax levy limit by the adoption of a local law approved by a vote of 60% of the town board. Section 3, tax levy limit override. The town board of the town of Shelter Island, County of Suffolk, is hereby authorized to adopt a budget for the fiscal year 2023 that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the initial specified in General Municipal Law, Section 3C. Section 4, severability. If any clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of this local law, the application thereof to any person, firm, corporation, or circumstance shall be adjusted by any court of competent jurisdiction to be invalid or unconstitutional. Such order or judgment shall not affect, impair, or invalidate the remainder thereof, but shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of this local law. Excuse me, or in the application. Excuse me, to the person, individual, firm. Or its application to the person, individual, firm, or corporation, or circumstance directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment or order shall be rendered. Excuse me. Section 5 is an effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Sorry, man.
Okay, we'll open the hearing for anyone that wants to comment on this. Nobody in the audience, nobody on Zoom. Okay, we'll close that hearing and open the hearing on the, could you give Dottie a hand? You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay, public hearing on the Darrow mooring relocation.
The application of William Durrell, 34 Little Ram Island Drive, to relocate mooring number C2689, location in Cockles Harbor, where location designated as latitude 41.081011 north and longitude 72.3029887 west in Cockles Harbor.
Ready?
Okay, any comments on the Darrow application?
It was discussed at the WMAC on Monday, and it's a riparian mooring, so even though we have the boat information, we don't need it, and they approved this application. No objection, no discussion, really. Very straightforward.
Okay, we'll close that hearing and open the hearing on the New York State Senior Citizens Property Tax Exemption. Is that a long one? Is it long? You want me to read it? or-
Read it?
Yeah,
Yes, Mr. Amber.
Amber?
yeah. Take a break, Don. Have a drink.
Tickle.
Often, it was a lot. Which one are we? We're on the local law to increase income for New York State senior citizens.
Okay, the town board of the town of Shelter Island hereby calls for a public hearing to be held for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to a proposed local law to increase the income limit for the New York State senior citizens property tax exemption from $37,400 to $58,400, as prescribed by legislation signed by Governor Kathy Hochul and on August 8th, 2022.
Hey,
Bill McCoy?
Bill, did you want to speak to this? You're on mute, Bill. You're on mute.
Let me introduce Bill.
Yes.
He's
Okay.
the new assessor in
Just for
town.
everybody that doesn't know, Bill is our new assessor, full-time assessor. We went from the elected position to, okay. I don't know if we can hear you, Bill.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yep,
All
thank you.
right. Good evening, board members and members of the public. Earlier this year, New York State raised the minimum income eligibility limits for the senior citizen exemption. This is the first time since 2009 that the limits were raised. It is a local option for local governments, which in our case is the county and town, and school districts. This legislation raised the limits from $37,400 to $58,400. The exemptions would be on property assessments on a sliding scale from 5% of assessment for the $58,400 to 50% for $50,000 of income or under. Suffolk County and the Shelter Island School District have adopted the new minimum income eligibility limits. We currently have 54 properties getting the exemption at the lower rate. It was 52 in 2021 and 64 in 2016. So the amount of people outside of last year kind of went down. The Enhanced Star, which we also offer through New York State, has an income limit of $93,200. In 2022, 131 properties qualified for this exemption. So I consider that kind of our pool for this senior citizen exemption. So we projected over 80 properties will qualify under the new exemption limits. 30 more than more than we're giving now, because the maybe 40,000 to 60,000 or so, they were not eligible. So we'll have new eligibility, and maybe some people that just become aware of this exemption as well as the Enhanced Star. The savings that these property owners would receive would not decrease our tax revenue. That's very important to know. The savings would be absorbed by the other property owners in the tax roll. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Anyone on the board have any questions? Anybody in the audience?
No.
Anybody on Zoom have any questions? Okay, Bill, thanks very much.
You're more than welcome.
We're going to close this hearing. Open the hearing on
Cozy Lane.
9 Cozy Lane.
a public hearing on 9 Cozy Lane.
The Town Board of the Town of Shelter Island hereby calls for a public hearing to be held for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to a proposed local law. I give you reading the wrong one. The Town Board of the Town of Shelter Island hereby calls for a public hearing pursuant to Section 45-4C5 of the Town Code to determine whether the subject dwelling, 9 Cozy Lane, is unsafe or dangerous to the public, and if so, whether to repair, secure, or demolish same.
Okay, Stephen?
Yeah, thank you. Pursuant to Town Code Chapter 45 entitled Unsafe Buildings, as enabled by New York State Section 130-16, Town Board is having this public hearing to determine whether the dwelling located at 9 Cozy Lane, Shelter Island, owned by William R. Conroy, as confirmed by the last deed of record dated March 2nd, 2010, is unsafe or dangerous to the public, and whether same should be repaired or taken down and removed. Further, it should be noted that if the board deems it necessary to repair or remove the subject structure, the town will be reimbursed for any expenses incurred by a lien upon the property to be foreclosed upon, or as an assessment against the property. I would now like to call on the senior building inspector, Reed Karen, to report to the board regarding the service of notice of this public hearing upon Mr. Conroy and the current condition of the dwelling.
So we became aware of it because of a lot of complaints in the neighborhood. We took a look at it some time ago originally, and it's, it was in very bad shape at that point, and it's only deteriorated. We mailed a notice to the homeowner. It was refused. We posted the property as being unsafe because I was concerned, that sort of, kids might be using it for nefarious purposes. And since then, I was there today actually with the town engineer, and he agreed that it's a zombie at this point. It would be more expensive to fix it up than it would be to tear it down and rebuild something.
Can you just describe that in more detail? Particularly if you look at, I went by the property as well. When you observe the dwelling from the road, what do you notice? What jumps out at you?
when you observe it from the road, the roof has failed. The cornices are coming out. Because the roof has failed, the thrust is, kind of pushing them outwards. All the cornices are, pushed out. If you sight down either front wall or back wall, they're bowed out where the roof has failed. I have poked my head in. I haven't actually entered because the floors have failed too. I think there's been enough water infiltration that the floorboards and the subflooring have rotted out to the point that they've now collapsed into the, between the floor joists.
Yeah, and to substantiate that, I have an email from Joe Fenora, our engineer, which states on Wednesday, November 9th, I examined the dwelling at 9 Cozy Lane to assess the stability of the structure. There's widespread deterioration of primary structural systems and failure of critical structural elements. The structure is considered unstable and at risk of imminent collapse. So if the board has any questions.
I have a question, Reed. I don't know if this is really for you. If the town is going to take it down, who goes in and checks the fuel oil and makes sure everything's off?
Well, all the utilities would be, anything would be cut off by the supplier.
Right.
LIPA would the first thing we would do. In fact, as Stephen observed yesterday, it's been going on long enough, I guess, that the
Shut off.
service to the house, the service wires are, really low.
Right.
And I'm not sure what would happen. I mean, I guess you would probably, whoever the supplies oil to the house would pump it out, Cozy's or, whoever they.
What do we do in an unsafe house? How do we?
Well, I mean, they would pump out the oil and, that's pretty standard.
No, I mean going in the house.
I think at this, the one thing that's kind of an issue is there's a lot of, the house was left, intact. Everything was left in the house. There's a relatively new mower in the garage. It's probably, 10 years old. Doesn't look like it was ever used.
Yeah, I just want to make sure the public understands that, we've been working on this for a few years now. We've contacted the owner numerous times. So it's not like, we're just doing this to do it. There's been no response.
Well, originally, I believe, as I recall, because I wasn't dealing with this, Chris was, but as I recall, originally the owners said they were going to do something about it.
That is correct.
That was a long time.
It was over 4 years ago. Yeah.
I think that,
Now, that dates back to 2016, 17.
Yeah.
When the roof started to leak. And the building department contacted the owner. They put a blue tarp on top of the roof to temporarily stop the water from going into the house. Over the next 2 years of 2016, 17, and into 2018, the wind just took the blue tarp off the top of the roof so that now the roof was exposed. The main beam across the top of the roof then started to cave in. It wedged the back door open so that the back door was open for 2 or 3 years. From what I gather from previous inspections by Chris and other people, there was a great deal of insulation that had come down. Most of the ceiling insulation, the wall insulation, you could see that it was blackened with mold, that the house was full of mold. And the neighbors around the house were very concerned about it. So the town entered into the picture and put an orange fence around it, declared it unsafe several years ago. We then had it re-inspected. You, in fact, went over because the inspection had expired. So the town summoned you to go back over to re-inspect. The conditions only got worse over the course of time. That was substantiated. And then with Joe entering this morning and looking at the structure, it's in bad shape. And again, the statement you made that it would be cheaper to take it down or rebuild it than to try to fix it is 100% accurate. I mean, from my point of view, the house is in horrible shape. I do want to commend the people that live around there that had to put up with this for the last 4 years. They have been pretty patient with trying to, work with the town on this. But, it's one of those things that, and the sad thing was that when we did try to make these contacts in good faith, calling, I called several times. I know the town tried to call. We sent mail up, then we sent registered mail. Registered mail was rejected. And we paid for a person to serve the thing, which it was eventually served to Mr. Conroy. We didn't get any response back from that serve. And I don't know why, but that's where we're basically at, so.
Yeah, I mean, I do think when I was there yesterday and today, I hadn't been there in probably 2 or 3 months, and hadn't taken a close look at it anyway. It seems like it's sort of turned a corner. In other words, the deterioration's accelerated. It's kind of like when your wheel bearings go,
Yeah.
the further along, the faster they deteriorate. It's bad now. It looks like it's going to collapse eventually.
The one thing the town has done in the last 3 to 4 years is maintain the property. So what the town does is it goes over twice a year, cuts the lawn, picks up the dead limbs that have fallen, some of them on the wire. So the town has substantiated that. Brian Sherman and a crew has gone over there, and just to keep the property somewhat neat on the appearance on the outside of the property. So the town has done that. I think they've logged in the times that they have visited, the amount of time that they spent there to take care of the exterior of the house. Nobody has entered the interior of that house, to my recollection, unless somebody snuck in the back door, which was ajar. I don't think a normal human being could. It wasn't open that much, but it was open far enough that, and it was open for 2.5 years. So all kinds of animals and critters could have gone in and out of that house. It's not in good shape.
Stephen, just so we understand and the public understands, obviously there's going to be cost involved in the labor to do it, carting it away, and then, the dump fees. How do we recoup that?
There's 2 mechanisms: the lien, you place a lien on the property and then foreclose on the lien, or you handle it as the assessment, get it through the taxes.
Right. Okay.
So I would suggest the lien.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you should probably turn it over to the public, see if they.
Yeah, I know we had some letters from some Silver Beach residents, the president of the Silver Beach Association. I don't know if you want to say it.
Well,
Come on up.
Yeah,
You have to come up.
Thanks for sharing. First of all, let me just say that it's very pleasant to be here in person. What a change. I was expecting a recommendation from Reed, and I didn't really hear that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Doug, introduce yourself.
Doug Sherrod.
Oh, I'm Doug Sherrod. I live in Silver Beach, just down the street from 9 Cozy Lane. I'm here both as a neighbor and as president of the Silver Beach Association. I have a few comments, and I'll be brief, but I would definitely want to hear the Reed's recommendation, which we didn't get to. So thanks very much for this opportunity to comment on this property, which is located in our Silver Beach neighborhood. This derelict property has been an eyesore and a potential hazard in our neighborhood for far too long. This view is shared by many of the other property owners adjacent to 9 Cozy Lane. Hopefully, the letters sent to the town board by these neighboring property owners will be read aloud and entered into the public record. As members of our community have had to look at this broken down, uninhabited, and abandoned house every day, it has literally cast a pall on this neighborhood. The structure is unsafe, and it is a clear risk to our community. My predecessor at the Silver Beach Association, Jim Colligan, has pushed very hard over the years to have this situation resolved, and I understand his efforts have kept the pressure on. However, with all due respect, it never should have taken this long to get to where we are today. Therefore, it is our collective desire that nothing short of demolishing this dwelling and returning the property to a vacant lot will suffice. Accordingly, we all look forward to hearing the senior building inspector's recommendation on 9 Cozy Lane.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Anybody in the Zoom audience?
And the only thing I would mention is something that we discussed before, that anything of value. There are several kayaks in the backyard, and in the garage, there are, as we mentioned, lawnmowers, tools, things of that nature. That would all be taken out before the house was, if the house is to be demolished, all that stuff would be taken out, inventoried and stored. And the people would be notified. I guess we would take an inventory of everything that we have of value, send a copy to Mr. Conroy and say, here, this is, and use that. If there is no response back, I would be part of the lien to pay for the town's.
Stephen, how would that work? Again, I go back to how are we going to get rid of the fuel oil? If the house is unsafe, we're not going to go in and see what valuables are in there, are we?
Well, there's one or two ways we could go about it. We can hire an outfit that's, trained in doing this, and they will be able to possibly get things out of there. And/or we'll use DPW and the highway department to do it. So again, from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of the stuff that was observed is located in the garage, which I think can be accessed and stuff removed safely. But again,
But Steve, my concern is we go ahead and do this, then we get a notice or legal, whatever, that, I had this in the house and it was destroyed,
We have no evidence that it's been taken by somebody else, right?
Yeah, no. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
We're gonna do everything we can do, less than putting people's lives in danger.
Right.
And stuff out there, and that's all we have.
That would be my greatest concern of sending anybody, whether it's a town employee or into that house, as Reed described, the floor itself has been sacrificed. There's been water on that and it's rotted out. What you wouldn't want to see is somebody go in and fall right down into the basement. Going into the garage, I believe the garage is on a slab. So going into the garage should not be, a huge issue because you're not going to fall anyplace. Going into the house, unless you had protective gear on, I just think it'd be totally unsafe to be able to do that.
All right, Pam Demarest?
Hi, fellas. Hi, town board. I was going to suggest that perhaps this could be an exercise for the local firemen in the demolition. They're trained in the safety procedures and, it might be good practice for them and it might cut the cost of the demolition if that's what you choose to do. It certainly sounds like the house is in need of that and not repair. Just a suggestion.
Right, I mean, we could run it by him. Again, it would have to do with what's in the building, but certainly we could ask her something they'd be interested in.
Jerry, can I ask a question?
And we're gonna have to just,
1 second, Bill.
we're gonna have to obviously run all this past our insurance company.
Yeah. Okay.
Kim had
Kim Bonstrom was next, then Bill Garrity.
Hi, guys. Thank you. Silver Beach got put number one, I believe, on the, Shoreline Access Task Force. There were, some suggestions that, Mexicans were defecating in the dunes. And you guys spent a lot of money, I think, putting up traffic signs and doing all that kind of stuff. And I'm still waiting after 3 years for, our town landing on the Rams.
We're not on that.
Hold a moment.
Oh, okay. Circling there.
I've got 3 minutes, please.
Only on topic.
Just stay on topic, please.
It's a public hearing. This isn't public portion, Kim.
Yeah, and you're not an elected representative.
Okay.
And I'm
I
addressing.
would advise you cut him off if he's not gonna speak
My
to us.
question was whether or
I'm
not this.
addressing the board, Stephen, not the overpaid town attorney.
Well,
Wait, Kim, can I-
the overpaid town attorney advises the board.
Yeah, Kim, can I just ask a quick question? Are you talking specifically to 9 Cozy Lane or a different topic?
Yes, I am. I'm addressing that specifically.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And specifically, I'm still awaiting the Ram Island Association. The Ram Islands have no access to a town landing. And that's what I'm asking for, is when is that going to happen?
It'll happen as soon as the current litigation is solved.
Has no relation whatsoever. If you guys would.
Jerry, this has nothing to do with 9 Cozy.
Yeah, Kim, we're gonna cut this conversation off. The hearing for 9 Cozy Lane. You can talk in the public comment section, Kim.
No, before you do that,
Can you?
again, I'm addressing the town board, not the town attorney.
Christina, can you?
Christina, can you mute? Kim, you can address us at the end. Okay, Bill Garrity?
Hi, how are you? Bill Garrity, I'm on, live on Cozy Lane. I'd submitted a letter. And basically, the question is just if the work is done and there's a lien put on the property, will that lien just sit until the property ultimately transfers as opposed to it being a tax levy? And then if the taxes go unpaid, basically you'd want to go through the process of foreclosing and taking the property back? Or what you're suggesting, just putting a lien on it and just letting that sit until somehow it transfers and has to be paid off?
No, what I said was we'll put a lien and then foreclose upon it.
So it would be foreclosed on. So then what would be done with the property at that point?
Auction. It is. I'm sure that once that step is taken, Mr. Conroy will come out of the door and show himself and take care of this matter. So we'll see.
Or
One thing
otherwise, so
The one thing we know, Bill, is that the taxes are being paid twice a year and have been consistently right through. So that's.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just, I was wondering how it ultimately gets disposed of. So it would have to go to a public auction. Is that correct?
Well, no, again, at that point, once you commence the action to foreclose on the lien, they will have an opportunity to answer and respond. And I'm sure at that point, take care of the lien and keep their property. But if they don't, then yes, it'll go through an auction process.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been pretty silent all this time, so I don't know what you hear from him. So I just wanted to find out what the procedure would be. But thanks, that answers my question. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay,
I just have a question.
Yes.
What are the next steps?
that's what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You want to, first, you need a determination by the senior building inspector or his determination of what should be done, and he will make a recommendation to the board, and then the board's going to have to decide.
Yeah, I mean, I thought my recommendation was
Clear.
Yeah, I think that it's time to tear it down. As far as the unsafe structure, your concerns about how to get stuff out of it. I mean, there's a difference between an unsafe structure and a structure that you can't even go into. You could go into the house and there are ways of removing stuff, but it would not, it's not safe for, habitation. That's a different distinction.
Mhm.
So what I'd like to do at this point is make a recommendation that we adjourn it for one more hearing. In the interim, we should have a independent engineer give us an assessment as to the structural integrity of the property. And then we'll reopen the hearing, I'll present that, and then the board can make an informed decision as to what's the next step.
Okay. Good with that?
I'm good with this.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna adjourn this hearing.
Yeah, so if you can adjourn it to the next town board meeting, that would be
Okay.
good.
Okay, thanks, Reed.
Sure.
Okay, next we're gonna have a public hearing on CXR Shelter Island Heights Marina LLC for a mooring transfer. Do you have this one?
I do, yes. The application of Stacy Delavive and Martin D. Finnegan on behalf of CXR Shelter Island Heights Marina LLC for permission to transfer the ownership of 46 moorings previously owned by Jack's Marine.
Okay, we have anybody wants to comment on this?
Do we want to hear about the WMC?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, WIC.
There are two issues that they would like resolved prior to the town board. But they are okay with it as long as these two issues, it's a public meeting, that has to be. Yeah. Thanks, Sharon. So the two issues, the first issue is that one of the moorings is very close to, according to Picozzi's, is very close to Picozzi mooring. So Bo Payne, one of the harbor master, will be in touch to work that out. However, that will be worked out. It's probably just you're both a little off where you should be and get resettled. And then the second is that we would like the updated current position for each mooring. Because that's what we'll be voting on, is where they are, so, but that shouldn't be a big delay. Those two things can be handled. Okay, you want to come up, Martin? Yeah.
Good evening, Martin Finnegan, 13250 Main Road, Mattituck. On behalf of the applicant, CXR Shelter Island Heights Marina LLC. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board this evening. Just at the outset, I will just respond to what BJ said. Absolutely, we will meet with the Bay Constable and deal with spacing or whatever issues they are as to that particular mooring or any mooring. We did include a map with our application, which shows the location of each mooring. To the extent that that needs to be updated or verified, we will certainly cooperate in that effort. As the board is aware, Jack's Marine has been the permittee of these commercial moorings for many, many years. The applicant acquired title to the property and business in December of 21 and is here seeking transfer of the permits so they can continue to provide the same rental and servicing operations to Shelter Island residents and guests. I understand that the town board has to consider the criteria in section 90-5R of the town code in reaching your determination. Since Jack's has been granted permits over the years, I assume that the town board has been satisfied that the facilities and services there are adequate. I did, however, address some of the specific criteria in our written submissions for the board. So, as BJ mentioned, we were before the WMAC the other night and had their, I believe, unanimous recommendation to proceed. I do have Ryan Perry here and Ben Levine, should the board have any specific operational questions. But we are just respectfully requesting that the permit transfer be granted, and I'm happy to address any questions myself that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
I think those two issues were the two issues that
Yeah.
just need to be dealt with, that's all.
Bert, did you want to speak?
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you want to? I don't want to put you on.
Been talking about it for 25 years, so.
Identify, just say who you are.
Sorry?
Say who you are.
Bert Wave, 9 North Ferry Road, Shelter Island.
Thanks.
So, yeah, it's correct. They, I know you have it in the code to make a transfer, and I think that's, I support businesses on the island, and I think that that can, can continue. I just felt that if you're interpreting the public trust and you're making, I think you should be consistent throughout the town about how you deal with the public trust. So if you're going to grant this kind of a transfer, how come, there's certain transfers that could happen in other places on the island? I'm thinking about Town Dock. Why can't I give my slip to my son later on? So I understand you've created in the commercial world, or you've created this entity, say a legal entity, that this is a commercial mooring, and you've given it a definition. But
exclusive to certain entities, certain people in the town, and excludes others. So that's really what my issue has been over the years, that I wasn't, actually, I was granted some rental moorings and appreciate that. And I'm not, but I'm just saying that when you look at the public trust issue of that other people in the town want to use these resources as well, and that they should have that opportunity. So I think it's a privilege to have a mooring, and I think that the new owners should be aware of that it's not, you're not transferring a property right to them, and that the town board this town board and subsequent town boards can look at these permits and determine if this is the right thing to continue. As the representative for the new owner stated, that in the past they have been, that you've accepted the new permits as they're renewed every 3 years. Because we're really talking about some real money here eventually. I mean, now it's real money. And I think in the future, as this island grows, you're going to see even more real money with what these things are worth. And so is it fair to the rest of the town that somebody has the ability to rent out a mooring, but I have a mooring, or whoever individual has a mooring, and say in West Neck, but they're not allowed to rent it out, but this other entity can. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't be allowed this transfer, but it should be looked upon as, what the town wants to do with the future. And possibly, I always objected to how Mike, I could say anecdotally that what I heard from Jimmy Clark years ago was the day or weeks before the new mooring law went in, moorings appeared haphazardly all over the harbor. And, that was a smart business move by Mike to secure those locations. But, they're not saying, like Cockles Harbor Marina has their mooring field adjacent, more or less right to their marina property. These are spread out throughout the harbor. So that's something the town board can consider either now or in the future. And then I'll just add that the town took the unusual step of adding a waiting list with a cost to it to people that wanted it in Deering Harbor, and that kind of reduced the perceived pressure on people wanting moorings in Deering Harbor. So individuals in the town, you might see only 5 on the waiting list. There might be more if you didn't have that waiting list. You don't have a waiting list at Town Dock or a fee for that. And, I waited 20 years to get my slip, and, thought he kept good notes, and I moved up the list and I got it. So, but, that would have been, $400 to me to do that. So, it's, there is that grandfathering kind of concept that is taking place here. And I get that, there's something to be said for that, why, why not do it, But at the same time, I think it should be, looked at fairly across the town.
All right, thanks, Bert.
All right,
And just, it is on our agenda. The whole mooring issue is on our agenda. Commercial, regular fees, who does the work, so it's in our plan.
No, I know I think you're going to see some unintended consequences when you change it from a 3-year renewal to 1 year. I think some people, I think you'll see a lot of people drop out of of their moorings or people coming in and out more often. And, you know, and as you raise the fee as well, you know, some people, and also I think you might find people trying to use the Anchorage area for some of the reasons that they, you know, for the things, and I think.
We should stay on topic for the mooring transfer. We will be addressing
Yeah,
this.
right.
We'll have an opportunity to speak
Thanks,
there.
Bert.
I'm just trying to keep everyone on the public hearing. Sorry.
Kim Bonstrom?
Thanks, Jerry. Two questions. One is, how many residents, people that live on Shelter Island, are renting moorings from Jack's Marine or Soloviev's or whatever? And I ask that question because the mooring law, the dock law, both of it, the whole town code says that, you know, moorings, which is a scarce resource, are for residents. And related to that is the whole LLC issue that we've discussed ad nauseum, right? You guys were talking about changing the code to redefine what a resident is. But in this case, on this transfer application, they've acknowledged that the owners of the LLC, you know, one is somebody that doesn't live on Shelter Island, and the other two components of it are LLCs. So we've got, like, I don't know, 3-4 layers of people that are hiding, you know, who they are, where they live. And the last point is that moorings is a town asset. It's not a business asset that you transfer, that you permit a commercial entity to monetize. That's a town asset. And the overarching issue in the town code, you make it very clear. Moorings are for town residents. So go ahead, approve this application, but you're flaunting the town code. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Anybody else? Anybody else on Zoom? Hey, Timothy Hill is here, our outside counsel. Tim, do I close this or do I adjourn it?
It sounds like you need some more information from the applicant, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So I
Okay.
would think you adjourn it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so anything else you want to say? Or?
We're just talking about the updated.
Yeah.
Yeah, the locations that are really have been done, you know, the GIS locations that have been done on the water now, not where they're supposed to be, not, yeah. I don't think so.
Just come up to the mic.
I don't, Amber, we might have had a miscommunication, I'm not sure. No, always working on it.
I'm Brad Perry. Monday at WMAC board, Bo said he was working on getting exact coordinates on every mooring.
Oh, I think I missed that.
Well, what happened was Dana was supposed to supply those prior to the meeting. He was gonna get them to me, but didn't.
Yeah.
So I think therefore Bo is gonna take it over.
Oh.
But I have not spoken with Bo, I don't know.
Yeah, Bo said that on Monday, and the coordinates that we'll give you are the same that's on the town website.
But
No?
We just want them to exactly. Want to know, and it's not just you. We're doing this. Going to do this island-wide.
Yeah.
We want to make sure they're where they're supposed to be.
Doing that.
You know, I can be in touch with you, Ryan, and you know, I'll confirm that I just didn't hear that correctly, and then we can, all right?
Yeah.
All right.
So based on that, would it be possible just to close the hearing and just leave the record open for the written submission? And do you need to leave the hearing open at this point?
Here's the problem. I mean, that's what we always did. But then it seems like we close it, but then we have questions for you. You know, when we're discussing it, we can't ask the questions because we closed the hearing. So, you know.
Yeah. And it's the winter. You know, I mean, you know, we all slow down a little.
I think we're on it though.
Yeah.
I don't think this.
We won't delay it as-
Monumental. I think this is something you can.
No, well,
Okay.
Can be resolved very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to adjourn that hearing and open the hearing on the Daniel Lord Road relocation. Scott?
That's having.
It's a reconvening, so.
Oh, to reconvene, I'm sorry. Thank you. Oh, so we don't have to read it?
No.
Okay. Do we have, I know we had a report from Bo today, anything from WNS?
No, this is fine. Everybody's certainly, Bo's report that he's going to be able to relocate 5 moorings without any kerfuffle. That he has made, he believes that the existing mooring, stake mooring holders are going to be happy with their new locations. And,
Are taken care of already.
right,
The fifth one is he's working on, and I think that could be him.
he's on a waiting list. Fifth one is, yeah, top of the waiting list.
Yeah, so,
You got the email today?
yeah. So there's 5 committees that had to be relocated, right?
Yep.
3 will go to the 3 Daniel Lord Road vacancies. So they're taken care of. So there's 2 left. One wants to go to Silver Beach Lagoon, and the other just wants to be on the top of the waiting list at Daniel Lord Road. So that's the disposition.
Okay.
And that person's all right with that waiting
Right.
list because he's not quite ready anyway.
Yeah,
She-
right,
Exactly.
Okay,
So I think we're ready to close.
so I think we are ready to.
Unless anybody.
So Stephen, we can close and
Oh, yeah,
finish it, okay.
yeah.
Any comments on this one? Anybody in the audience, the Zoom audience? Okay, we're going to close that hearing then, and we'll reconvene the hearing on 14 Margaret's Drive?
Yes.
Are we not? Are we?
Woodson?
Yeah.
The applicant is not here?
Applicant's
Well, the next one is 11 Serpentine, is it?
No,
No, it's 14 Margaret's.
Oh, I'm on.
that was.
No, Serpentine asked to
Yeah. to come
adjourn,
off.
to
Postpone it.
postpone it, thank you.
Right.
All right, sorry.
Okay, so there's nobody here for
That's,
14 Margaret, so we'll adjourn that one.
Yeah.
And now we will reconvene our regular meeting and act on a few of these. Meg can start. Meg, you can start.
okay. Whereas William DeRoe, 34 Little Ram Island Drive, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to relocate mooring number C-2689 from a location in Cockles Harbor to a location designated as latitude 41.081011 north and longitude 72.3029887 degrees west. And whereas a public hearing was duly held on the 9th day of November, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition. Now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for the aforementioned installation. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Doing Stan Church?
Yes.
All right. Whereas Stan Church submitted a wetlands permit application pursuant to Chapter 129 of the Town Code to seek approval for enclosed an existing covered porch and convert same habitable space within the regulated area. Whereas the subject property is located at 52 Tut Hill Drive, Shelter Island, New York, which is within the AA zone, residential zoning district, revision 2A, with the SCTM number 0700-12-2-10.4, the property. Whereas the shoreline is hardened, whereas the subject porch conversion is shown on the Roddick Van Tuttle site plan, undated, and AMP Architect LLC construction plans December 23rd, 2021. Whereas the applicant approves to voluntarily install an IA system, and whereas the applicant was referred to the Planning Board and Conservation Advisory Council for recommendations, and recommendations have been submitted and considered. And whereas the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation letter of non-jurisdiction has been issued to the subject property on September 3rd, 1991. And whereas the board considered the proposed action at a proposed hearing pursuant to notice on September 27th, 2022, and again on October 18th, 2022. And whereas the board now wishes to render decision on this wetlands application, now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby pursuant to secra determinations that this is a type 2 action and therefore will not have a significant impact on the environment. Be it further resolved that the town board adopts the findings of the Planning Board and Conservation Advisory Council and concurs with the jurisdictions and mitigation measures offered in the subject application at the hearing. And be it further resolved that the wetlands permit for the subject construction to be completed at 52 Tut Hill Drive, Shelter Island, New York, is hereby granted, subject to the following conditions. There are 18 conditions. You want me to read them all? Read them?
You don't have to read them?
No. Okay, there are 18 conditions that are listed, that's available to you in the town clerk's office. Be it therefore resolved that copies of this approval shall be on file with the building inspector. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, before I read the next one, I guess we have to do it legally. We need to open the hearing on the Serpentine Drive application and close it. The reason we have to open it because it was on the agenda.
Adjourn it.
And we advertised it.
And adjourn
And
it.
then we got a letter asking us to postpone it because they couldn't be here. So we're going to adjourn, we'll open that meeting, we're going to adjourn it. Okay?
So make a motion.
I make a motion.
Adjourning
we-
it until,
No, we just adjourn it. We're not going to give,
Why do we have to make a motion to adjourn it? We don't.
no, motion to. You need to take an act to open it. Because it was opened and adjourned.
Just opened 10 meetings and we didn't make a motion to open any of them.
All right.
There's a lot of objections to that.
Yeah, we're not discussing this one.
That's for sure.
Okay. All right, so we're going to adjourn it.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Those in favor?
Aye.
We have to go back into we have to recess, open the meeting.
I
Right,
just said that. I said, well, I have to go back and reopen the hearing.
that's what he was saying.
Yes.
We recessed the regular meeting.
Okay, we're going to recess our regular meeting and open a hearing on the advertised hearing for the Serpentine Drive property. With that said, we're in the hearing. We got a notice that that they would like to postpone the meeting. So we're postponing the meeting. So I'm adjourning the meeting.
Yes.
Okay, and now we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I don't think we made motions.
we're doing it
Okay.
by the book.
Okay. Whereas Christopher Tian, on July 25th, 2022, submitted a wetlands permit application on behalf of Suzanne Townsend pursuant to Chapter 129 of the Town Code, to seek approval to renovate the 2,616 square foot existing dwelling and a 465-foot decking into 3,084 square foot dwelling with a 407 square foot decking within the regulated area. Whereas the existing dwelling is located 71.9 feet, the porch 67.9 feet, deck 67.6 feet respectively from the wetlands boundary, and the proposed renovation will utilize the existing footprint, thus no further encroachment into the regulated area. And the new decking will actually be located 5.2 feet further away from the wetlands boundary. Whereas the subject property is located at 27 Dickerson Drive, New York, Shelter Island, New York, which is in the C residential district. There's tax map number 722-2-20. Whereas the shoreline is unhardened, whereas the subject renovation and deck is shown on both Oak Stanley Wilcox Architects Architectural Site Model dated March 7th, 2022, and the F. Michael Hammer LSPC Site Survey dated February 2nd, 2022. Whereas the application was referred to the Planning Board and the CAC for recommendations, and said recommendations have been submitted and considered. Whereas the New York State DEC has been Permit has been issued for the subject project, permit ID 1-473-2-00966/00002, dated June 9th, 2022. Whereas this board considered the proposed action at a public hearing pursuant to notice on September 7th, 2022, September 27th, 2022, and on October 18th, 2022. And whereas this board now wishes to render a decision on this wetlands application, now therefore be it resolved that this board hereby pursuant to SECR determines that this is a type 2 action and therefore will not have a significant impact on the environment. And be it further resolved that the town board adopts the findings of the planning board and the CAC and concurs with the justifications and mitigation measures offered in the subject application and at the hearing. Be it further resolved that a wetlands permit for the subject construction to be completed at 27 Dickerson Drive is hereby granted, subject to the following conditions. And there's 20 conditions that are available to see. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At this time, we will, that's the last of them, right? Okay, so we will open the meeting to the public with comments or questions. Okay. If I have no comments or questions, I'm going to make a motion. Oh, there's one. Pam Demarest.
Yes, hi. I have one question. Did you not read my submission of September 7th on Dickerson Drive? And did you not review my comments at the public hearings before you made this decision? Because I never got an answer to any of that. And I did send the letter to Mr. Kiley this morning to show him that I had made a submission.
They were taken into account by the board and they made a decision.
You're muted, Pam. You're muted, Pam.
You're still muted. You're still muted, Pam. Nope, we can't hear you.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have too many things on my computer at once. So I don't really understand. So there's no concern that the information that was given to the DEC was incorrect on this application, and there's no investigation on that had gone any further on this application. There's no discussion about the expansion of the size of this, even though it is on the footprint, there's still more square footage to the building. I mean, everything that I wrote to you folks on September 7th. I haven't heard any answers to any of it.
You met with Christine. Concerns, right?
And yet you approved everything that, they wanted. I'm not really sure I understand the process here any longer. I'm really having a hard time being recognized, being answered, understanding how you come to the decisions you come to. And I'm very concerned about what's happening in town hall now.
The public hearings.
First I write letters, then I attend, let me just say this. First I write letters, then I attend meetings, then I write letters, then I attend meetings, and I never get answers. My concerns are never addressed. I'm really insulted. I really feel very insulted by it, honestly, at this point. I don't think that I bring up things that are unrational. So I'll just leave it at that. And then I have one more question. Since you hired Mr. Hajak's land planning for the Ram's Head Inn dock, has there been any
Status on that?
No.
By the end of the week.
This week?
Yep.
We should have a report by the end of the week.
And will that be posted for everyone to see?
Well, yes, so the report will be issued, and then it'll be presented at a work session, and prior to that work session will be made available to the public. Again, with the caveat that we get
Prior
it
to the work
beforehand.
session?
With the caveat that we get it beforehand, it would be provided. If he's going to just present at the work session, then provide a writing thereafter, then you'd get it the same time the town board gets it.
But if it's at a work session, it's not a public hearing and we can't comment on it.
That is correct, but you're just asking about seeing the report, correct?
Well, obviously, the report will be part of the application on a hearing that's already occurred.
No,
So that, and we don't know when that hearing is going to be reopened, because you didn't set a date for that. So it seems to me that since the public hearing has been adjourned, that when the new documentation comes in, it needs to be posted so that the public is aware of the new documentation before the public hearing is reopened. I mean, this is almost similar to some of the stuff about
No, with
Serpentine
that-
tonight. There was some documents
Without
that hadn't
a
been,
doubt,
you know,
without a doubt, Pam, without a doubt, that's what I said. Again, Jerry and myself aren't involved in this. But however, the independent consultant, when he goes to the town board, he may want to present it before handing over a writing. So there wouldn't be anything to give you prior to the work session if he's just doing it orally. If he does it orally and then subsequently presents a writing, then the writing will be made public. This is all happening before the next public hearing. So you'll have an opportunity, if there is a writing generated, to see that writing, and take it into account before the next public hearing.
If we couldn't set the public hearing because we didn't know when we were going to
Okay,
get.
and currently. Okay, and currently, my only other question is I am on the assumption that he is reviewing this project as a type 1 action, given the statute in the town code. That any operation that may
Waiting for the
despoil or
term-
degrade
determination.
freshwater or tidal wetlands.
He was asked to evaluate it.
He's making that.
That seems like to me that that's a town code determination. That seems to me like that's a town code determination. The town has already
Duly
determined
noted.
that
All right,
that's.
she went over it.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Pam.
Okay, I went over. I'm sorry, excuse me. Thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Thanks, BJ, and thanks, Stephen. These questions are really addressed to the members of the town board. And I'm just flummoxed that the town attorney is saying that, oh, well, if it's not in writing, we're not going to address it. Amber, question for you. Did you review Pam Demarest's objections to these projects?
Yeah, and what I looked at what she'd written and it said, please consider it. So I didn't read that to be a response. I actually have it in front of me. So I apologize. I read it as I respectfully request your consideration of these concerns on these proposed projects when evaluating these applications. So I did read them and did
Excellent,
consider them.
excellent. So instead of Stephen Kiley, who's not a member of the board, Amber, respect.
I should jump in sooner. I'll take that under advisement.
How about doing it now? How about doing that now? How about addressing her objections now?
No.
The hearing's closed.
Closed and we just passed it.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Jerry, you're saying that the thing is closed, and Amber is saying, I don't know what.
Yeah, we just did the resolution. So it's done. And I would actually have to go back to my notes. That's on my desk at home because all of my notes with respect to this was discussed at an earlier town board work session. And so I have notes on like what my thoughts were on that.
Yeah, but you didn't express your thoughts then, and you got subsequent comments from Pam Demarest, and I'm wondering if you respond to them now.
And I can't because that's at home on my desk. And since we've just closed this, I'm satisfied with what we've done.
All right. I'm not satisfied, but thank you for responding or not responding. I'm done. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Okay, Julie, any questions? You good? Julie?
Good, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion, we close the meeting.
Second?
All those in favor?